Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, Alter Sleeves, as well as Twitch subscribers and Patreon supporters, just like you. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey, guys.
Ruben Bressler.
Oh, hi. How's it going?
Oh, hey. Well, welcome to the 2021 Magic Micsies.
Yay!
Yay!
We made it.
We got another year in the can. And we talk about all the things in Magic for 2021, the good, the bad, the ugly, the dumb, and the very smart. And we've done this now for, was it 6 years? Have we done this?
This is our sixth Magic Micsies, right?
Oh, so many Magic Micsies. Well,
so six and a half years of this show.
That's a lot of show. That's a whole bunch. Now, we kick it off, of course, with the Micsies, but also the giveaway. Get your chance at $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat. But subscribe first to get 2 chances to win, and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we rate tonight. Thanks to CoolStuffInc.com, of course, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. Let's kick this award show off with our first award of the night. The dumbest WotC move. Always a fun one to kick off the evening. Now, the dumbest WotC move nominees are ending the dream. That is, the MPL has died and you will no longer live on Pro Magic alone. Canceling early access streams. D20 rolling, which I think honestly turned out to be pretty good. Magic Legends, lol. And 2 Innistrad sets in 2 months. And the winner is, Ruben.
Well, I got outvoted, but the winner is cancellation of the early access arena preview streams, the early access streamer event.
Now, before we talk about the winner, let's talk about the runner-up. Ruben, why did you choose Magic Legends?
Yeah, come on. The dumbest WotC move. Well, first of all, nothing is going to beat last year's winner, which was the companion mechanic.
That one was
that's a good one.
Epically dumb.
Unbelievably bad.
Magic Legends was so badly executed as to have become a joke within 24 hours of it being released.
I agree. However, I don't think that was Magic's fault. I don't think they had a heavy hand in the development or the execution. I think they sold off the rights because the company has 2 very similar games, and they have a Star Trek version and a D&D version. And so they just take those rights and create their own thing. So I think Wizards was like, yeah, here, take this and do what you will with it. Give us chunks of money. And so I didn't want to blame them for it. That's why I didn't vote. But it is awful.
I don't know which way the money flowed. I don't know who was paying exactly who and who was approving exactly what. But you cannot start like on the foot of we're not going to use any official Magic art and expect you to be successful in any fashion.
Yeah, I guess so the category is dumbest WotC move.
Right.
The WotC move was giving those Magic Legends to the developers, which at the time wasn't the dumbest idea.
Well, the winner is canceling early access preview streams. This is something that just felt really weird. Like from the outside looking in, you know, I feel like you could tell it was a very stressful thing for Wizards. It was stressful on the staff. It was, you know, there was a lot of scrambling. There was a lot of sort of last minute stuff. There was, BT dubs, this is how we're going to do it now. Like, and that got more and more frantic and or last minute until the point was the last one before they canceled all of it. Like I just had to in the blind make slides that we were going to do it because that's exactly what they did the time before. And finally, it felt like enough people left the company. It was like, we're out. Yeah. So all of that promotion, all of that time and effort that we all would put in is just dissipated into nothing.
So I voted for it for a couple of reasons. One of which is the one that you didn't really touch on was the amount of ill will that it fostered amongst the creators. It was a huge, devastating blow to get word like 32 hours before the event started. I know people took time off work. I know someone who does YouTube video that can't actually live stream, who rents office space to stream the event. And so they were just out all of that money, and it was like awful. So if you want to piss off your creators, that is a great way to do it. Also, this was a non-paid event. What better way to get every single streamer and every single eyeball that they have on them to this event. So that is why it is the dumbest move, because your creators hate you and it's tons of free exposure. I mean, it's not free because you have to have people at the back end making it happen, but that's way cheaper than actually paying creators for content, which they don't do.
So congratulations to canceling the early access preview event streams for being the dumbest WotC move of the year. Now, if we pick on them for the dumbest move, we always like to pivot over into the smartest move. The smartest WotC move nominees are the Arena Android rollout, the return to in-store play, the ending the MPL/Pro Play, which is its own argument, embracing D&D, and digital buffs and or nerfs. Ruben, you were once again outvoted.
I am so mad again. I've been swindled. I've been hoisted. I voted for something that was not the winner, but the winner was between you two.
Yes.
Which was the Arena Android rollout.
Yes. This was like, it's important to Magic. It's important to any game. It's very important, of course, to Magic to get new players in, to get the new blood, to get, people to be exposed. And this was basically the largest opening of the door that they could have done, was to roll out all of this on all of these different devices. And it led to a bunch of huge signups, which led to a whole bunch of money for Wizards. So high five on that. But again, that's the lifeblood of the game. And if they don't do stuff like that, the game can start to flounder.
I mean, one of the major things that they wanted to do was take the Hearthstone community right out from under them. And what better way to do that than give it to them on the platform that many of them play. A lot of people like Hearthstone because they can actually actively do it when they're on the road, at the airport, whatever, while also enjoying it on their PC. So it opens up a ton of access. A lot of people are drafting on mobile, which is just added income where they wouldn't have been able to draft live, right? Because you don't have that much time to be at home doing your thing. So I think that was a super smart move.
Now, I do want to say that I voted for a different one, and it wasn't the D&D one. It was, in fact, demolishing the Magic Players League and ending pro play for the rest of the year. This is a thing I was arguing that they should have been doing, that they should have done a year ago. And then they finally pulled the plug, and it was the right thing to do because they're doing a hard reset. They're doing, Huey's coming in. Maybe Huey's going to be our savior. One can only hope, fingers crossed. Maybe something brighter in the future, but you kind of have to turn it off and turn it back on again to get back on track. So that's why I think it was the smartest WotC move.
I think
before we move on, you guys keep saying who got outvoted. I just want to say I think it's kind of funny. I think I won every single one because you guys alternated agreeing with me, basically. So
that's possible.
It is possible.
I think that's what happened.
Well, look, the MPL, the instant I heard that they were basically buying Twitch viewers, that is just a terrible way to do things. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you are literally puffing up your numbers as if they're just going to magically keep growing for reasons and not have that cost over and over again. So the setup was awkward. The execution was uncomfortable. And it was, honest to God, there were so many times while we sat there and we watched it go by and we were like, this doesn't make sense. That sounds like a bad idea. What were you thinking right there? And the whole time Wizards just like, trust us. We know what we're doing. And off it went. Either way, let's move on here to our third category, hashtag of the year. Now, for number 3 here, hashtag of the year, we have hashtag MTG Stonks. Cool. A hashtag that's not a hashtag, but it's kind of a hashtag. It's $NFT.
Right. Because it's still hyperlinked on Twitter. So it counts.
Gross. Hashtag MTG Booty. Heyo. Hashtag Mental Health MTG and hashtag MTGXDND. And the winner is the award, the Magic Micsies goes to MTG Booty. Hashtag MTG Booty. 2 days later, the content creator program was canceled.
Yeah.
A few butts in the timeline, and that was it.
This one was an obvious one. We all voted for this one. It was really, not only was the timing of the content creator fiasco serendipitous, but also MTG Booty, I think, was a worldwide trending hashtag briefly. It got that big. No pun. No, not. Let's
this guy, the comedian,
together. But I think that the community rallying around these creative hashtags, and also a little bit of an excuse to thirst on Maine is good. It's good for you.
It's good to thirst on Maine. It's all right.
Yeah, this for those of you guys who don't know, was a hashtag that was created around the content creator Talia Vess, who was getting a lot of grief for some of the photos that she's posting on social media, and so everybody just started posting pictures of their butts. Everyone from Prof to Lady Danger. Just basically the entire community. Some of them were very funny. People had pictures of magic cards sticking out of their butt crack, not like clothed. So they had basketball shorts or whatever, and they pushed them in, tucked it in, and put little magic cards. And so it was everywhere. It was absurd. But yeah, everybody was kind of just standing up for Talia, saying that we can post whatever we want. If you don't like it,
get over it now. And I'm not saying correlation is causation. I'm not saying the content creator program was canceled because this exists, but it's funny and it's silly and it was a good time.
There's been a lot of consternation about the Magic content creation community and the crossover with sexy photos of MTG content creators. And the fact that I guess there may be some old hats in Wizards, it doesn't sound like a far-fetched idea, who are like, I don't think so. I don't think that that's someone, who we want to be associating with. But as more and more people create fansleys and fan houses and things like that, the line is going to get blurred even further, and content is content. So
how dare you be sexy? How dare you?
I don't think that that's, it's a funny thing that's how the way that happened, but we were typically getting a whole month's worth of notice before the program. Yeah. Now we got 1 day's notice of the cancellation before the event, meaning that this hashtag booty was only 3 days beforehand. And typically we would have known long before. So I think what was happening is people were just scrambling. And then it was just never going to happen. And then they just kind of waited to the last second to drop the ball and let us know. But it is super funny that this kind of lined up in this way.
It's true. So that is the Magic MICSIE for hashtag of the year. We move on now to not any awards per se, but it's important during award shows or things are looking back over the course of the year. And what we talk about here, we have an in memoriam segment where sometimes, as you'll see here, we talk not just about the people in the community, but stuff that happened during the year. So I'll take the first slide here. The in memoriam begins here with Andreas Gans, I believe it was, he was a GP champ who passed, Dustin Robertson, Brian Goldner, who was the Hasbro CEO. Valky and Tybalt had a rules change. They helped change their entire rule set, how that works. Davriel's Withering got its nerf this year. Magic Legends came and went. As in memoriam tends to go. Ruben, you want to talk about our second slide here?
Sure. There it is. As well as Puka Trade finally shut down in the middle of this month. And then we had some bans of various formats, starting with Historic, which had many, many bans, including Omnath and Uro. That was this year, everybody, in Historic. Thassa's Oracle was banned in May, followed thereafter by Time Warp, Rainstorm, which was sort of banned. It was like suspended
and then they're like, okay.
Then they were like, okay, we're actually banning it in October.
Yeah. Nerd Girl, you want to talk about our next slide here?
Yeah, we have some more interesting things with Pioneer, and that is back in February.
Balustrade?
Yeah. Balustrade. Spy was nixed then, and we had Teferi, we had the Undercity Informer, Uro, and Wilderness Reclamation all happening in February, which was a huge hit to Pioneer.
Yeah, and then they had those the pre-con decks that came out, which were weird and interesting because no one's playing it, but okay.
Hopefully this is not an in memoriam segment for the format of Pioneer.
Right, but just the cards no longer playable in it. Now, next up we have Modern. In February, they got rid of Field of the Dead, Mystic Sanctuary, Simian Spirit Guide. That was a huge one. Tybalt's Trickery, because that spells stupid. And Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. It's not Angel's Wrath. I just mistyped that. Let's see here. Ruben, talk about our next slide here.
Yeah, then Legacy, again, I forgot that these happened this year, but Legacy, Arkham's Astrolabe, Dreadhorde Arcanist, and Oko Thief of Crowns were finally banned. I believe I forgot to put that Astrolabe was also banned in Pauper on our list, Good. But I believe that was also this year.
I believe so. Yeah.
And then in Commander, we finally banned Hull Breacher, which I think took long enough. And then Golos also, somewhat surprisingly, I feel, got banned in September as well.
Oh, that was a huge surprise because Golos was like the second or third most listed commander on EDH Rec. So
right.
You want to talk about a huge blow. All right, so our final slide here. Nurgirl, you want to tell us a little about this one?
Yeah, our final slide is the historic and Brawl changes. Historic Brawl, we lost Davriel's Soulbroker and Davriel's Withering. And then for Brawl itself, we lost the Pithing Needle, which actually just recently got a reprint. So pretty interesting.
Yeah, Brawl sort of needed to, but the Pithing Needle's finally in the format, so off it went. But that was our In Memoriam segment because, all things must pass, unfortunately.
I'm very proud of Standard for not having a ban this year.
True.
Good job.
It had an alchemy.
It did have an alchemy, which is different.
I'm wondering if they didn't have bans because they knew alchemy was coming down the pipe.
Maybe. We'll see. Well, we get here to a very fun category. Last year's winner was Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath. It is our most hated card, Magic Micsie. For the nominees for most hated card is Tibalt's Trickery, Valky God of Lies, Crux of Fate, the Mystical Archive ripped off version, unfortunately, Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, and Allrun's Epiphany. And the Magic Micsie goes to Tibalt's Trickery, legal for a whopping 10 days in Modern before it got the axe.
Yeah, this card was, what you should do is watch our most recent top 10s of the top 10 worst cards of the year. I think that Nurgirl had a pretty good breakdown on why Tibalt's Trickery is so horrendously inexcusable from a design perspective. The gameplay is bad. It was bad in Standard with Stonecoil Serpent. It was bad in Historic with Throes of Chaos. It doesn't do anything good, and it either does nothing or does something bad.
Yeah, it's either broken or trash, and that's where we're at. So for those, So for those who don't know and are listening to this later or whatnot, Tibalt's Trickery is a red and a generic mana for a rare instant from Kaldheim. It counters target spell. You choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards, then exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. And it turns out when you play things for free, everything breaks. So even at random, womp womp womp.
When cards like this are being developed, I'm wondering if they're playing this the way you would play a genuine game of Magic, like mulling to reasonable hands and things. Whereas in this version of Magic with the London Mulligan rule, you can just consistently mull to 3 and then just make it work. And I'm wondering if maybe R&D is not taking that sort of like a take on how you should be mulling. So I don't know. This card is absurd and should just not be created.
Right. Fair enough. Well, congratulations to Tibalt's Trickery for being just horribly annoying. Just the worst.
So last year's most hated card was Uro, right, which, as we just mentioned, was banned in many formats. Is Tibalt's Trickery more offensive than Uro?
It's already banned in Modern and Historic. I think so. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, I think so too. Uro is at least fair, right? Like you can put it in a deck and have it not end the game immediately.
Maybe.
I feel like Uro is hated on the scale of Epiphany, but not hated on the scale of like this is a train wreck and should like never have even been like drawn up.
How dare you?
Absolutely.
Well, on the flip side of the most hated card, of course, is the Magic Micsie for most loved card. Last year's winner was Shark Typhoon. This year, the nominees are Elite Spellbinder, Goldspan Dragon, Asmarano Mardicadiced in a Coldakar, Asika's Chariot, and Olivia Crimson Bride.
I just like that it fits on the screen.
I didn't have to adjust the font size or anything. Not at all. But that said, the winner of this year's most loved card, MICSIE, is Asmarano Mardicadiced in a Coldakar, as voted by Ruben and myself. Tell us about this awesome card.
Yeah, I didn't think I actually lost one when I was skimming through it.
Got there.
Now, you did pick a different card, which I think is also a valid pick.
Yeah, I picked the Elite Spellbinder because, I mean, it is super relevant as well as very near and dear to people's heart because it shows Paulo, who is a big fan favorite. It gets most of the votes when we do those Wizards of the Coast, like who's going to win tournament stuff. And I think it's overall a very beloved card to the Magic community in general. I will say, while you were reading that slide, I was like, please don't pick me to say the winner. Please don't pick me to say the winner. I have never said that name out loud, and I don't want to have to try, so thank you.
It's not... so once I figured it out, I had it down pretty easy. Asmo, Rano, Mardica, Distica, Kuldakar.
I've never tried.
So it gets pretty. Once you get there, it's good. But yeah, I think that both are. I think that these were very clearly the top two of most loved cards, and it's only slightly more syllables than Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa.
Yeah,
it's true.
So
it is quite a lot. But
as you know, if you have more syllables, then you win.
Yeah, this was
honestly. I might have agreed with you guys. I only play on Arena lately. So like I have had no interaction with that card and nobody in my like audience ever talks about it. It was not ever something I even heard about really until coming onto the show.
Well, for those who don't know, Asmarano Mardicadiced in a Coldakar is a rare from Modern Horizons 2. It's a 3/3 black-red legendary human wizard with no mana cost. But as long as you've discarded a card this turn, you may pay a Rakdos mana, black or red, to cast this spell. When Asmarano Mardicadiced in a Coldakar enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card named the Underworld Cookbook, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle, and you can sacrifice 2 foods, target creature deals 6 damage to itself. So the card was sweet. It's usable in discard, strategies, madness strategies, and
sacrifice strategies.
Yeah, it's ultimately not very expensive, so go grab you a copy. It's fun and affordable. All right, so we're moving on here to the Magic MICSIE for Drama of the Year. Don't we always love the drama? Well, last year's winner was Secret Lair: The Walking Dead, because that was a lot. This year's Magic MICSIE's nominees for Drama of the Year are Content Creator Program Going Splat, the Mystical Archive Art Snafu with Crux of Fate, the End of the Pro Dream, the Big Box Glass Boxing Product, if you recall the unbelievable runs on product and people like shoving each other out of the way, the Maturino Kerfluffle, which they tried to leave behind Melee and go to a different service and it went to Splat, and Alchemy, which caused lots of uncomfortable feelings amongst players for a variety of reasons. And that said, Nerd Girl, what was our winner for the MICSIE?
The winner for this year's biggest drama, as it were, was The End of the Dream. I'm actually really surprised because there was like 3 on here I kind of struggled to choose between. So I figured we would be more spread, but we all actually voted for the same one. And the reason I chose it is not because I think it was necessarily a bigger deal, because honestly, it doesn't really impact most players. The reason I chose it is because this has been a constant drama throughout the entire year. And that amount of buildup has led to a lot of resentment towards Wizards.
I think the way I would put it is that it died hard and it didn't die easy. It died slow and like just little tiny, like, and sort of, a big cut here, a small cut there, another big cut here, and like over and over and over and over until they finally said, okay, we're just getting rid of this, and the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hank Aaron never led Major League Baseball in home runs in a season. And yet he became the all-time home run leader because he was consistent. That is what happened with this drama. Is there wasn't a big blow up like we had with art, right? We had several, big blow up with the art community, big blow up with, pro play, big blow up with Matcherino, but this was just like that throb, like the humming pain kind of headache that you have all day, and that's what we got with the end of the Pro Dream. Which again, I think we just needed to rip the Band-Aid off. We needed it to have ended a year ago so that we could start the healing process. But here we are.
All right. Well, let's move on here to the Magic MICSIE for artwork of the year. Last year's winner was Sublime Epiphany from M21. I actually have the artwork here. You guys can check it out, which is always nice. The nominees for artwork of the year are Teferi, Hero of Dominaria from Secret Lair Drop Black is Magic. I thought that was sweet. Tiamat from the AFR set by Chris Ron. Drizzt Do'Urden by Tyler Jacobson, again for the AFR set. The Celestis, Jonas DeRoe, this was from Midnight Hunt, wasn't it? And Soren the Mirthless from Ayami Kojima. This is not the right version. I apologize. I literally, as I said that out loud, that was on me. But that said, who is our winner, our unanimous winner for artwork of the year, Ruben?
Yeah, this came out in January, and I don't think there was any doubt in any of our minds that Teferi, Hero of Dominaria from the Secret Lair Drop Black is Magic by Kineo, at Kineo the Dreamer on Twitter, was going to win this category.
Yeah, this one was gorgeous.
I think everything about this particular art is really pretty. I'm glad that they kept the colors very vibrant, and even the looks on their faces, they're not looking at the camera, that everything looks very serene and beautiful. I think this was very well done.
Yeah. And, to show just like a family sort of heartwarming scene, it is honestly kind of rare in Magic to see something like that. I mean, we did have a few of those. I recall in Throne of Eldraine, for example, in terms of like sort of a happy family shot, but there's not a whole lot of them, particularly for, Teferi, who, had all of this drama in his life and the way that the spell went wrong and, the land disappeared on him and he couldn't phase it back in and all that stuff. So it works in with the story. It was fantastic for the Black is Magic Secret Lair drop and the way it worked with that. It was absolutely gorgeous piece, an absolutely fantastic piece of artwork.
Yeah, everything about how this got made, how this got produced, what product it was in, the other things that it was with, in addition to the fact that absent all of that, it's just a beautiful piece of art. Like, it just makes me feel happy to look at. And anytime a piece of art makes you feel something, that's worth taking note of.
Absolutely. So we're going to move on here to the Magic MICSIE for coverage moment of the year. Now, last year's winner was Alan Wu's roommate and the peeing in the background.
Yeah.
Of the PD finals.
We didn't have a lot of great coverage moments.
Not a ton. I'll be honest, this year was a little lacking in and of itself, but that's okay. The coverage moment of the year nominees are the End of Pro Play Weekly MTG, which was its own very interesting hour as they explain that stuff. MTG product commercials, these with the Patton Oswalt and crew, which were interesting. And Takahashi's Worlds Yatta! And Ruben, who do we unanimously vote for?
Yatta!
Yatta! Unbelievably sweet moment we got this year in coverage.
How could we not?
It was fun.
Even though we didn't have a ton of moments this year, this is an all-timer.
It was very nice.
I love that they left the footage on much longer to see the emotional reaction. And it's made that much sweeter by the fact that Takahashi didn't start the event very well. He started out 0-2 or 0-3. Actually, 0-3. I think he 0-3'd the draft. And then to see that sort of emotion after such what has to have been a roller coaster, knowing that your tournament life is on the line every single match, like you could feel that from him, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, and that's something that I'm looking forward to when big events kind of come back, in play. Which is, there is something really special when you have multiple day events, and there's that person who's just living on the edge the whole time, and it's exciting and it's interesting, and like it's super heartbreaking if it doesn't go their way in the middle of day two, and it's just the best story when they make top 8, and particularly when they win.
Big shout out to whoever was at the switchboard for the Magic stream to keep it on Takahashi for that moment. It was also like 4 a.m. in Japan. So like, obviously your emotions are going to be a little bit frayed regardless of the result. But to see that emotional outpouring, to have him be a world champion who very demonstrably loves Magic and how much it means to him, it's an all-time, it's honestly maybe my favorite coverage moment of Magic the Gathering.
It's very, very
period.
Good. And God bless the director who was like, hold on that shot, give him a second to really, let it sink in. All right. So let's move on here to the format of the year, Magic Micsie. This is always a big one. Last year's winner was Webcam Commander, because we did what we had to do in 2020. Format of the year nominees this year are Jumpstart Horizons, Commander, Historic Brawl, Alchemy, and Strixhaven Limited. And it was, for me, it was kind of it was a vote between a couple of options, and I didn't really feel like I wanted to split us into 3 different ways. And if I had to choose something that I basically more or less enjoyed the whole time, the Magic Micsie for format of the year goes to Strixhaven Limited. Nerd Girl, tell us why.
So this is actually one of the only 2 that I added a category to, and I put Strixhaven Limited because I thought it was the best limited format of the year. And the reason for that is it didn't feel like any one particular archetype was king. It felt like I could sit down at a table and what was open would always change because everything was playable in some form or fashion. So it was very flexible. I felt like we got a lot of replayability out of it because it was moderately balanced in comparison to some of the other formats we've seen this year. And also it was just kind of a fun, weird, themey thing that they did that was very unique.
The lessons and the learn mechanic was just like, I'd never drafted that way. I'd never experienced a format like that. I'd never been in a scenario where like I'm drafting this for my sideboard, not just because best of 3 or whatever, but like I'm drafting it because I wanted to work with this and I wanted to do this thing and this interaction. Like I'm always looking for the one that goes and gets the lands, which is super important. And I'm always looking for other sort of generic spells that help out in the mid game. And you could get the bomb, mascot thing, from time to time. But really, I felt like it was the most balanced of the formats that I've played all year. And that different dynamic of lesson and learn was just a new way of playing Magic Limited I never experienced before.
Now, I did vote for Historic Brawl, but a close second was Strixhaven Limited because it's so different and unique. The amount of times where you go into a format and you go, I've never played Magic like this before. Right. I can think of it on 2 hands. Or on 2 fingers, I should say. War of the Spark, because there were so many Planeswalkers, and Strixhaven, because everyone had a wish board. Everyone has a copy of Scry 2 Draw a Card in their sideboard, right? Everyone has a copy of Get Rid of Your Biggest Bomb because of Introduction to Annihilation.
Sure.
Everyone has a copy of Lay of the Land to fix their mana and to, they've got 5 cards with Learn and they've got 1 basic. Well, they've got 6 ways to find their splash card. It was so unique and so different. And it was a card advantage in a way that didn't depend on card draw. But was spread out evenly across all of the colors and the color pairs. Black-white, which was an aggressive strategy and was very good, still had card advantage because you had Guiding Voice to go get your token thing.
Yeah.
But you could also play slow, grindy Magecraft stuff, and it was great.
Right, and beyond all of that, a whole layer on top of that was the Mystic Archive. You could play Time Warp in Limited. I played Day of Judgment in Limited all the time. It was amazing.
I got mana-tithed so many times in Strixhaven Limited. I was so mad.
So one of the things I like to say about the Mystical Archives is it threw a lot of curveballs as a limited player because we had Snakeskin Veil in the previous set before, but they reprinted it again as a Mystical Archive, which come up far less, right? You're not going to get them quite as frequently. So I cannot tell you the amount of times where I'm just like, the chances of them having a snakeskin veil is so small, I'm not going to play around it, and then immediately get blown out by it.
Yeah.
So it just added this like another level of like diversity as far as like what you needed to play around. And it felt like I had to think on a whole new level than I typically do when thinking about what I would be playing against.
Right. So like, I feel like it raised the power level a little bit, but in a really interesting, varying way. The variance was really satisfying. It wasn't like, you know, blowout after blowout. I was like, no, like that's a really powerful card, but I also have this demonic tutor that just happened to show up in my pack. So let's go, you know?
Yeah. If I'm going to lose, I might as well lose to Teferi's protection, right? Like, it felt bad at the time, but afterwards it makes for a good story. And that's what the whole set was good stories.
There you go. So let's move here to another big Magic Micsie. That is Set of the Year. Last year's winner was Jumpstart. The nominees for Set of the Year are Kaldheim, Strixhaven, Modern Horizons 2, Adventures in Forgotten Realms, Innistrad Midnight Hunt, and Innistrad Crimson Vow. The Magic Micsie for Set of the Year goes to Modern Horizons 2. And I'll just jump on this one quick, which is, it's clear that they're pushing the power level hard. Okay, I get that there's Modern Horizons 2, Tribal or whatever, and that's cool. But the other half is, to me, it added a lot of really interesting ideas. It helped a lot of archetypes get a lot better. The new cards that are very powerful are very interesting and do create interesting sort of game states that can change. And Modern Horizons 2 as a limited format was really fascinating. I really appreciated the Modern Horizons 2 stuff that came into Arena, which was nice. And, you know, they tried a lot of things. And, you know, maybe some stuff went a little too far, but it was the most exciting of all of these sets, in my opinion. And that's why I chose it.
Exciting with a capital E under the definition prescribed.
So much excitement in the pack.
There's a bunch of it. There are many excitements in each booster pack. Yeah, I feel like this is a default answer that I was like, I guess the Set of the Year is Modern Horizons 2.
I suppose.
Because it has to be, because all of these cards are $1 million and every card in it is the best card ever. And we've got Ragavan and we've got Murktide Regent.
And Urza Saga.
And we've got Urza Saga. And we've got, you know, like, comes into play tapped, indestructible, snow, artifact, duels for Pauper. Right.
Yeah, I think Time Spiral Remaster could have had a run in this, I believe. Yeah. Would have been kind of interesting. But Modern Horizons 2, again, you know, maybe they went a little too far, you know, in some ways, but they got to make it exciting or it's not going to work.
Yeah, so I actually, when doing these, I am the one person that did not vote for Modern Horizons. But again, similar to what Ruben said, that it was kind of the default answer. And I feel like that's what I should have put. But I had no experience with the set because of COVID and I haven't gotten to play it and it wasn't on Arena. So, I mean, it didn't really affect me personally. So that is why I defaulted actually to the Kaldheim set. But I do agree that this is probably the most influential set of the whole year for sure.
There you go. All right, so let's move here to the Magic Micsie for Card of the Year. Last year's winner was Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath, for all the goods and the bad reasons.
Yep.
This year's Card of the Year nominees are the Black Lotus PSA 10 that showed up, that sold for over $500,000. Drizzt Do'Urden, Ulrun's Epiphany, Goldspan Dragon, Ragavan Nimble Pilferer, and Expressive Iteration. And the more that I thought about this one, the more that I was drawn to an option that I believe Nurgle did add here. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
And the Magic Micsie for Card of the Year goes to Expressive Iteration. This is an uncommon from Strixhaven. It's a red and a blue mana for a sorcery that says, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, put one of them on the bottom of your library, and exile one of them. You may play the exiled card this turn. And as much as I hated on Alrund's Epiphany, and it caused a lot of problems, and it was gross and they changed it. And Goldspan Dragon is just way, way too good. I don't care even if you did remove stuff in Alchemy. I think long term, both every minute it's in standard and looks like every minute it's in some of the older formats, Expressive Iteration is going to impact Magic for years and years.
And it's also, this is actually the category I spent the most time looking at. And I was looking at our options. I didn't like the money ones, like that doesn't really matter. So I was trying to pick between Ragavan, Goldspan, and Alrund, which were on the list already or already nominated. And I was going back and forth, but like I kept thinking to myself, I don't actually like any of these cards. I don't think that these are good. Like, they're not making the format good. What makes a good card good to me is not necessarily how powerful it is. Does it deserve to be banned? It's whether or not it creates a good environment. And the only thing that came to mind was Expressive Iteration. It's beloved by all. It's impacting all formats. It's excellent at what it does, and I don't think it ruins the format in any way other than letting you find your epiphanies. But if we get rid of that, then it's just really smoothing and kind of calming when you're playing it in Magic.
Yeah. I mean, I picked Alrund's Epiphany because I hate myself. But if we're picking the card A that has longevity, none of the cards that we have changed for historic, even if we hadn't changed them for historic, are going to last forever. These are not the types of cards that are going to be showing up in deck lists 5 years from now.
Right.
And also, those are finishers. Those are top-end cards. Those are the lead singers, right? But Expressive Iteration's the 4 of. It's the backbone. It's the mortar that holds everything together. It's going to see play in every format from now until forever because it's 2 mana, draw 2 cards. It's a super juiced up card advantage engine in Legacy and Vintage, which very rarely has card advantage. Usually it's mostly just filtering. 2 mana, draw 2 cards for 2 mana. That's blue, even at sorcery speed, kind of came out of nowhere to be the card of the year.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to that as well. Of course, we do want to thank our sponsors this week, to cardhoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online, as well as our Altar Sleeves. Check them out at altarsleeves.com/MagicMikes. Use the code MagicMikes at checkout for 5% off anything in the store. And we're going to move on here to the finisher. So if you're looking a year ahead of the 7th annual Magic Micsies, which will be during our senior year of this pandemic, barf, what are you expecting to see a dozen months down the line, Ruben?
Well, I've been so good with my prognostications, they should call me Rubstradamus.
Ooh.
So here's my next winner that you can take to the bank. We will not have a single major event cancellation in Magic the Gathering. We may not have any major events, but hey, that's not what this bet is about.
That's right. Very nice. Nerd Girl?
All right, seeing how this is my first Magic Micsies to predict the future, I'm coming out swinging. Within the next 12 months, I will defeat both Evan and Ruben in live Magic gameplay. Unless I have to go to Tennessee to do it, because I'm not doing that.
Hey, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
All right, there's a little bit wrong, but there's nothing really wrong with Tennessee. Now, look, heed my word, followers of Magic the Gathering. By this time next year, Magic Mikes will be producing NFPs, non-fungible pie bets. So you too can own a moment of Magic Mike's history. And that ends another live episode of Magic Mikes. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ruben.
See you next year, everybody.
For the Magic Micsies, as we move to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and Altar Sleeves, my co-host, Nerd Girl and Ruben Bressler, you guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.